I know him really good, but he's a great speaker. He's a really good speaker. So he's come to town. He's willing to come and talk to us and talk to the staff. So that's a great news. Again, it's our attempt, the current board's attempt to say, you know, we're trying to be as open as possible here. We're bringing in the director of New York State Open Government saying, this is how your town should run. And we're here to listen, saying, yeah, we agree. Show us the way. You're the man. You show us the way. So it's a great piece of news. Thank you, Joe Drzezinski. So Joe reached out and talked to him, and he agreed to come to Princetown. The comprehensive plan, I want to touch on this again. So I will really want to reestablish a committee to finalize the updated plans. I am still looking for volunteers. My initial thought on the comprehensive plan, it was a very controversial piece of action. My initial plan was to say, look, we had some of the teams, some of the residents who were on this side of the table, we had some teams who were on this side of the table. My idea was like take 4 and 4, put them in a room, come out when you got it figured out. So I reached out to some teams, people who had the different opinions, and asked them to join. Not everybody stepped up, so we're still looking for volunteers. So anybody, again, it's a very important piece for the town. That we're contributing to the direction of the town. So if you guys are interested, please contact myself or the board. We're getting pretty close to kicking it off. I'd like to get this done this year. One interesting piece is typically when you have legislation, we solicit input after the meeting, after the comprehensive plan, or after a law is ready to be passed, that final night. Once we finalize the committee, I'd like to introduce and ask the committee, the public, to come in and provide some feedback. So we've got some business leaders in town who have agreed to come in and talk to the committee once it's formed. We're trying to get Holly Bolano to come in from the county. I'm going to try to get Ray Gillum from Metroplex to come in and say hello. We've got a video from a national firm saying how important the comprehensive plan is. So again, I'm looking for volunteers. We are looking for volunteers, not me. I think it's going to be a great effort. Okay. Again, we want to pass the water purveyor law. This water purveyor law is a pretty important piece of legislation. Again, our biggest resource and the most important piece of resource is our aquifer. So whatever it takes, we really need to protect that. I mean, I was watching CNN one night and somebody said, what's the difference between us, the U.S., and a third world country? And the answer was clean water. That pretty much says it all. I mean, if you don't have clean water, and you can probably go to parts of the U.S. that doesn't have water. So it's critical that we protect it. It's the most important resource. Personally, I just think it's a very important piece of legislation we need to get done. We need to take some time working again with the subject matter experts to update our town laws and make them available electronically. I want to explore Metroplex opportunities. I actually had a meeting with Norm for June 20th with Ray Gillum down in Schenectady, but he canceled because GE bigwigs took our spot, so I don't know why he shut us off. But anyway, so I want to go down to Metroplex and say, Ray, if you're going to develop in Schenectady County or Western Schenectady County, look at Princetown. Let's look at Princetown instead of Duanesburg. Let's get in front of all due respect to our friends in Duanesburg and to Renee, but Ray, let's look at investing in Princetown. What can we do? We have some areas that we can work with. Route 20, right here on Route 7. So we have some areas we'd like to explore. I think it's, personally, Metroplex hasn't really touched Western Schenectady County at all. So I'd like to, again, get in front of Ray, and we'll make a meeting here maybe in the next 2 weeks or so with them and say, hey, we've got some opportunities. What can you do to help us? We want to develop a new hire onboarding procedure. Again, this is just going to be to whoever comes on, here's the package, here's the book of laws, here's things on foils, here's how to work in government. So that's going to be a procedure we want to continue to work on. Okay. We want to update personal policies. Again, it's pretty old. The personnel policy we have now is pretty old, needs to be updated. Policies and procedures need to be updated. We want to actually engage a professional team to come in and provide ethics training to the town employees. And once it's actually on and we have it, we'll extend it to the residents saying, come on in if you want some ethics training, whether it's for your personal life, public life. So that's some training we want to establish for the town employees. We'd like to offer a defensive driving course. We're working with Michelle. I think Joe and Michelle are working on maybe just getting a defensive driving course out here. Again, it'll be open to the residents. I'm not sure what the price is or the cost would be. Something, again, for everybody, town staff and residents. Training sessions on town laws. So I know when I came in January, I was pretty much a novice. I was past a novice. I was a very beginner. I didn't know anything about government. So, and I still don't. Again, I rely on George, I rely on Dan, Gino, Pat, to the subject matter experts to give me my direction, along with the town board. But a great idea came up. It's like, so why don't we ask the chairs, the zoning board chair, the planning chair, the planner, code enforcement, to do training sessions, not only to the town board, but to the staff. And what we also would like to expand is actually maybe engage Amy and say, let's make it a video, put the video on the website and say, look, this is how you apply for a permit. This is how you do this. These are the numbers you call. Here's some websites. So I think that's just a great idea too. We want to try to engage the internet as much as possible, as much electronics as possible. So we're going to have to ask Vic and team to put their tie on and and make a presentation. Okay. So this is pretty much coming to the conclusion here, folks. I'll open up some questions and stuff, but again, our intention here was to come into town, to take an assessment. We've seen the 5-year financials. We've seen the costs. There's some very areas of concern in 2007, 2008. I mean, the health benefits jumped, the professional or personal services jumped, some significant jumps, and we need to really watch that trend because it's not a good trend, especially when revenues are going down, and it's not like we have a huge savings account like Waynesburg. So, we're looking at, efficiency, we're looking at some cost reductions, we're looking at, whatever means we can do through, again, some town board oversight to provide, and again, keep the service to the town. We need to update our laws. We need to protect ourselves in the town from future litigation. So we've had a couple of cases of, litigation. There's 1 or 2 still in progress. It's spendy. It's very spendy. You get 2 lawyers in a room and they're just, you can hear the ching going on. It's a huge number, so we need to protect ourselves by updating our laws to protect the town. And again, this whole exercise from January 1st up to now and through into September or October is to use all these findings we've done in the discovery and assessment phase here to build an accurate budget. Where can we, find efficiency? Where can we reduce? Where can we invest? What do we need to invest in the infrastructure? We have one town employee, he's got a laptop, I think he's got a whole roll of duct tape on it. But, not everybody's on song software level. 2003, 2007, I don't have this, I don't have that. And that just drives inefficiencies. So these are all part of the assessment phase and discovery phase we continue to go through. So this is an ongoing process. Again, we solicit and want the feedback and support and volunteers of the community, but that's where we are today. We continue to assess and analyze some of the data that's coming in. It's been a little bit of a slow start, but we're getting our feet firmly underneath us. So I think we're pushing it. I think we're all going in the right direction. Next one. So I want to open the floor up to some questions. Basically, I want to try to keep it on tonight's presentation. Now, when we talk about some of the financials, if I don't have an answer for you, I will get you an answer. And then if you actually jump one more. So there's my email address, the office phone. That's my mobile phone. All this information will be on the princetown.net. So please reach out and contact me, contact the board. I'm always here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I pretty much close it up with Gino. So I'm here pretty much 12 hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. A lot of Wednesdays I've been here. So I'm usually here. I got purple pickup out there, so if you see me stop in, I'll answer whatever questions I can help you with. So then I can go back to one. So that's it, folks. Actually, I went through in a good time. So I'd like to open up to questions or thoughts, concerns. What can I do? What can I help? No questions? Did I put everybody to sleep? Or?
I got a question, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Where did the downfall in the revenue, where was that mainly focusing? Was it from court fees and stuff? We're down from years before, or sales tax revenue?
Actually, all the above. There's actually an article in the paper, and Michelle and I talked a little bit. So we've seen it down a decrease in the court costs, or not court costs, the revenue from the courts. And we want to be careful about necessarily revenue, but it is. Some of the sales tax and everything from the counties are down. I don't have an estimate yet on 2013. Otherwise, I would put that out there, but I think it's overall as the economy. I mean, when the economy broke in 2008, it's taken a while for it to trickle down, especially in the capital region. The capital region is the capital region, right? It's a lot of it's run by a lot of the workforce is supported by the government. So it's taken a while for the government to react. So it wasn't hit like Las Vegas or so many other spots where the economy was devastating. Florida was just wiped out whole communities. We were a little bit buffered by the by our local government, our state government. So, but I think now as you're starting to see it, year after year, the economy hasn't recovered, in my opinion, and in my work, it hasn't recovered at all. We just laid off another 25% in as a corporation on April 30th. So I just think it's taken a few years for it to trickle down, but it is trickling down. And again, we've seen our costs go up, so it's imperative, in my opinion, especially with the little buffer that we have of a savings account. It's imperative that we control our costs. It's imperative because once the two lines cross, I'm kind of surprised that how I got this data, and again, my initial idea was just to come and present to you, say, like, this is how our government works, here's the budgets and everything, but once we started going through the budget numbers, going, wait a second, holy cow. When you start looking at it, it was up on every category. It's like, wow, how could this not be seen? But again, I'm not trying to be critical, but once, we put the charts together, it was, you guys saw, I mean, these are our numbers we made up. They are numbers from the controller's office. These are the actual numbers. So sometimes it's key that you have to do a comparison to understand where you are in the race. So I'm not sure if I answered the question, but I hope I did. But I'll explore it because again, we're going to need to know that information, especially as we went to the 2013 budget development. Where are we losing? Where's our shortfalls coming in? So. My plan, or our plan, I think, is at the 2013 budget meetings, there's like 3 of them, 3 phases of it, is to present, where we are exactly, what our revenues, our estimated revenues, and our estimations, and actually break down by department where we've been spending our resources. So, Mary Sue?
It's a follow-up to his question, really. Do you know when you will know what you'll be getting from the county? Will they give you an estimate
I don't know the
sometime?
answer to that question.
Okay.
No, I can ask Isla. Isla knows all.
I just figured that would be a very important number to know in order for you to start estimating the 2013 budgets.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's going to be critical for us to know that. I mean, it's going to be absolutely critical because we cannot continue to go to the well. That well is pretty shallow. It's very shallow. There was another hand somewhere, I thought.
I'd just say thanks for making the presentation and everyone that contributed to the effort. I thought it was very good, easy to understand. There was a lot of focus on how to cut expenditures, but I'm wondering about ideas to increase revenue. To balance it. One thing that I could throw out there, and of course should be open to both sides of it, is to make sure that all the expenses that are associated with the ZBA process, the planning process, maybe they should be covered better by the application fees, as opposed to having a modest fee and then have a lot of the attorney fees, the salaries of the chair and the members come out of the general budget. Have it be more of a pay as you go. Just as a suggestion. I don't, have the state troopers start writing more tickets, I don't know, but you gotta get more revenue, you gotta do both sides. And we definitely talk a lot about the one side, but we gotta get ideas to increase the revenues.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Which is why I really want to get down in front of Mr. Gilliam and say, look, you know what, we need your investment. We need you to start bringing some opportunities to, again, Western Schenectady County, preferably Princetown, and not, our friends in Waynesburg. But you're right, it's absolutely critical. And that's why I'm asking subject matter experts, because I like that idea. It's a great idea, we don't want to overburden, people who are putting, decks on their houses or stuff, but if you get some subdivisions and stuff in here, there should be no reason why, because they're going to pass that cost on to, the people who are selling their properties to, but it shouldn't be so, strenuous to the town's, resources. I agree with you 100%. So with that, folks, I mean, we are wide open to suggestions, whatever you can think of. I mean, we are wide open to suggestions as far as revenue goes. We are at least for myself, I'm pretty sure I can speak for the rest of the board, we are absolutely pro-business. We want to bring it in. We want it to fit into the, to the character of the town, of course, but absolutely, whatever we can do to bring additional revenues in, because it's going to be critical at some point to offset the expenditures. Folks? All right, yes, sir.
The comprehensive plan, once that is put together, is that only voted on by the town board, or is that going to be a referendum that the whole town votes on?
That would be the board.
It would be the board. It would be the board. But I want to stress this and highlight this as much as possible. I know it's a controversial piece of legislation. There's definitely people on the one side and there's people on the far right. It's very controversial, and this is why I wanted to get people from both sides together to say, like, what, compromise. It can't be that drastic that we can't meet in the middle on some pieces. If you're willing to compromise, then it should be, we should be able to get to the end. And I also want to stress that it doesn't have to be 100%. Let's make it 80. Get the comprehensive plan, get it off the ground. Let's go to 80%, and we'll continue to work on it. We'll set a board every year to continue to revisit it, because a lot of communities do that. They have an ongoing, comprehensive plan committee, always continuing and trying to update it.
Mike, can I add that in addition to the town, it has to meet county approval, seeker environmental by the state approval. So it's not just the town board gonna vote on this. I mean, it has to go through several wickets before it gets to the town board, and we decide whether to adopt it or not. But I think Mike's plan is, you know,
Yeah.
excellent.
Would you like to volunteer?
I did-
I'll ask you out in the hall. So you can say no.
I sat